Hi, so it's Susie for Women's Fight News, and I'm here with Ben Shalom. So ahead of this huge weekend in Cardiff that you've got Lauren headlining in her home city, it's fantastic.
It is fantastic. It's earlier than we planned. I think she had 6 fights, she didn't lose a round, and you're almost thinking, what do we do? What do we do next? I think looking at Lauren from ringside every time, it's like she's levels above. And so you have to find the biggest possible challenges. Would we have chosen Jessica McCaskill, a unified world champion, a multi-weight world champion, someone who's not lost in the welterweight division before? In normal circumstances, no. But to be able to get an opportunity to come to Cardiff in front of your home fans, to break a record, it's what she's doing is unprecedented. It's worth the risk. And I think with Lauren, she wants to break records. She wants to do things that no one's done before. She's done it her whole life. And hopefully it will continue on Saturday. But yeah, a massive night. The support has been incredible for her. I think we're going to see the birth of a real superstar. I really do, especially on BBC on Saturday. It's like the old school days of boxing on free-to-air television, and it's going to be a special moment.
I was so impressed though with the matchup, like you say, because it just came out of nowhere that Laura managed to get her opportunity against Jessica. And actually, I'm impressed that Jessica took the fight as well, like they've been saying this week.
Yeah, she deserves a lot of credit. She has a lot of options being a world champion, and we did enough to convince her this was the best move. I think she feels if she's ever going to beat Lauren, it's now. Get her early. Obviously Jessica coming to the end of her career, but Lauren just starting, and she thinks that'll be the edge, that experience. She's been in there with the very, very best. Lauren's going to get tested for the very first time in her professional career, and yeah, credit to Jessica, because she wants the big nights. She realised how big Lauren is in Cardiff. She wants to be boxing in front of big audiences and big arenas, particularly at this stage in her career, and she gives us a hell of a fight.
I was at Astromonot this week speaking to the locals, and like you said, the support is unreal.
It is. I think I've never been so inundated with Welsh television, Welsh TV, Welsh radio. It's unprecedented for us to have a fighter at this level of a career get this much interest in a hometown. We'll sometimes go to Manchester, we'll go to Liverpool, and people know the boxing's on, but you've got to really know your boxing to be focused on that. Whilst here, it feels like everyone knows what's going on. Everyone in the city of Cardiff, everyone around Wales. She really is a superstar over here. Like she's a Welsh sporting legend already, and she's their gold medalist. She's their MBE. She's their shining star, about to go and try her best at the top of the professional game. It's a big moment, and I feel like we're witnessing something. The Welsh always get behind their own. I don't think they've ever had a talent since Joe Calzaghe like Lauren Price, and I think a lot of Welsh boxing is now riding on Lauren, because the impact she's having on here by bringing a show here, the impact she's having on all the fighters coming through is pretty special. But hopefully Saturday goes well and it can be the first of many nights.
That's it, some huge nights in Cardiff, hopefully. And talking about her partner Karriss, I was speaking to her yesterday, and she was saying that she was hoping for some fight news, especially around the EBU title.
Yes, Karriss actually had a little injury, and so I think it slowed her down a bit, but she'll be back in July. European title is what we're targeting, and there's big fights in that division. Raven Chapman is a fight that we've been looking at. Obviously, the big one would be Sky Nicholson, the rematch, and Karriss obviously beat her in the amateurs, and it's an amazing fight with how well Sky's doing. But all the Olympians really, they move at their own pace. I think there were question marks around Ben Whittaker, and he was struggling with his injuries, and we've seen him blow up. Fraser Clark, and then he had his big night. Caroline Dubois just got off to an absolute flying start, and she's doing so well. Lauren now fights for her world title, and for me, Karriss will come through as possibly the most well suited to the professional sport. She's got the power, she's got the ferociousness that it takes in the professional game. So I can't wait for her to get going. European title in the summer, and then beyond for that.
She's definitely spiteful in the ring. When I watch it, I'm always like, I don't know if I wouldn't want to be the one facing her in the ring.
No, and look, I think it was your call where I felt we saw a different Karriss Artingstall, a really, really spiteful performance, and got someone out of there that had never been stopped before, and that's what she'll bring to the women's sport. You don't see a lot of knockouts. Savannah Marshall for us was incredible, because she brought such excitement to the division with her knockouts, and I think Karriss will do the same. And so it's just a matter of time. Obviously, this is Lauren's moment here. Karriss is here to support. They're so close. They won't box on the same night, and so you have to manage their careers separately. But they're very much in their own lane. They're both going to be stars in different ways, and Karriss, it's only a matter of time.
And you mentioned about Caroline Dubois. I mean, she's on the verge of some huge nights, because it's great, really, that the lightweight titles have become vacant, so that everyone's sort of making a grab for them, and so there's lots of opportunities there.
Yeah, it's brilliant. The way the division's now opened up for her is everything that she asked for. She wants to go one by one through the weight divisions, probably similar to Lauren. Start at 135 and then move her way up. So we're very keen to get as many world titles we can at that division as quickly as possible, really. So we should be fighting for a world title in the next fight. We should be able to announce that very soon. But yeah, it's amazing to see, because obviously we had the success with Natasha Jonas and Savannah Marshall, who have just gone on to do incredible things and sell out, really, arenas, which for women's boxing was unheard of even maybe 3 years ago. They've set the bar for Lauren, for Caroline and Karriss. It's great for them now that they can see, look at what Tasha did, look at what Savannah did, and all three of them are desperate for that themselves. And it begins obviously on Saturday with Lauren. It takes me back for when we went to Newcastle and headlined with Savannah the first time, and I think people questioned it then a lot more than they are on this fight as to whether that was worthy of a headline fight and women's boxing headlining. And I remember all the talk at the time. And that was the birth, really, of Savannah becoming a headline fighter, becoming a superstar, selling out. Obviously, culminated in that amazing night at the O2 against Clarissa Shields, and it feels very similar. Except I will say, Lauren's fan base this early on, I've not seen like this early on in the career. To have this level of sport is really exciting. And obviously, we're here at a stadium today. But when we went to Bournemouth with Chris Biller-Smith, it was sort of a similar level. In terms of the numbers coming out to see them, and obviously that ended up at the Vitality Stadium. So fingers crossed, one day we'll be seeing Lauren in a stadium over in Cardiff as well.
I mean, yeah, definitely Boxer, I feel, are definitely investing in the women's, and it shows, like you say, by investing and promoting them, we're seeing some superstars coming through.
Yeah, and look, it's credit to them. They perform. They take any fight. It's a lot easier than the men's division at times, because they're all fighting for the sport and want the biggest fights possible to not only elevate their careers but the entire sport. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey with all of our females. Obviously Fran Hennessy, also the youngest one, coming through now, and yeah, it's amazing to see, because as I said, even when I started, I've seen the divisions just get deeper and deeper, more girls coming into the sport, more opportunities as well. And we obviously now, more often than not, every 3 shows will be headlined by a female fight, and it's amazing to see. Obviously Jonas Mayer kicked off the year. We're now seeing Lauren Price do the same here. We're hoping for another women's night like we did in the O2 a couple of years ago this year. So it's absolutely flying. I think it's great for the sport. It has a positive effect on everything else.
Any news about Natasha Jonas? So we're going to see a rematch against Michaela Mayer?
Those rematch talks started a while ago. We tried to make the fight already. Couldn't quite get it done as quickly as we'd have liked, but I still think it's a massive fight. I think Tasha just wants the biggest fights possible. Obviously, be interested to see what happens on Saturday in the same weight division as well with these two. So that welterweight division for me is the strongest one in female boxing at the moment, with the amount of fighters that can fight at welterweight, with Sandy Ryan, and you've got Terry Harper, and you've got Lauren, and obviously Chantel Cameron, I feel, can come up, and there's just so many options. Michaela Mayer and Tasha Jonas. It's great for Lauren, because sometimes we found with Savannah, there's not always those big rivalries, those big fights to take. Clarissa was enormous. That might never be replicated, but with Lauren, there's so many big fights for her in this division, and I believe we've got a lot of fighters in that welterweight division, but I believe she has the potential to be the very best.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for bringing her to Cardiff, because I'm loving this fight week. So no thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit like. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future content, and why not check out any other videos on the channel. You can follow Women's Fight News on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.